Again, my blessings to all students of class 10th. Students, today we are going to discuss the chapter Long Walk to Freedom from First Flight. Before going through the content of your lesson, I would like to clear some information to understand the lesson very well. I know you will remember the chapter of class 9 from subject civics, the making of constitution, and in that chapter you have to read about the constitution, making of the constitution of South Africa, its greatest leader Nelson Mandela, and so on. Actually, South Africa was under the supremacy of white peoples about 300 years. 300 सालों तक साउथ अफ्रीका के जो मूल निवासी इंडिजीनियस सिटीजन जो ब्लैक पीपल थे, उनको ये व्हाइट पीपल जो यूरोप से माइग्रेट होकर गए थे, वहां उन्होंने अपनी सत्ता स्थापित कर ली थी. एंड दे यूज्ड टू सप्रेस द ब्लैक पीपल फॉर ए लॉन्ग पीरियड. एक्चुअली दे adopted a political system which is very well known as apartheid. Apartheid का मतलब होता है the discrimination on the basis of people's skin color. लोगों के त्वचा के रंग के आधार पे उनके साथ भेदभाव करना. This system is called apartheid. After a long period of being in chains of the white people, now the day has come. In the year 1994, the white government of the de Klerk decided to make a new constitution and complete transformation of South Africa. Nelson Mandela struggled through his whole life. He had to live in prison for his precious 30 years of his life. And then the day has come, and the day was 10th May in 1994, and it was the day of inauguration of South Africa's installation of being a democratic and non-racial country. And this inauguration ceremony was going on in a sandstone amphitheater. Sandstone बलुआ लाल पत्थर को बोलते हैं, जैसे हमारा लाल किला बना हुआ है, तो उसी तरह क्या वो एक हिस्टोरिक बिल्डिंग है, यूनियन गवर्नमेंट की बिल्डिंग है. सैंडस्टोन एम्फीथिएटर which was situated in Pretoria, and this freedom ceremony was going there. The politicians, leaders and the dignitaries from 140 countries of the world were gathered there, and their different kind of local costumes which represent their cultural heritage looked like a rainbow. अलग अलग देशों के अलग अलग नेता अपने अलग अलग कॉस्ट्यूम में आए हुए थे और लग रहा था कि वो एम्फीथिएटर एक इंद्रधनुष बन चुका है. एंड नेल्सन मंडेला in his 80 years old was present there to take oath as a first black president of South Africa with his daughter Jenani. And first of all, Mr. D. Clark stood there to take oath, to take place as a second deputy president, because it was decided by the two communities, black and whites, that there will be a president and two deputy presidents, one from white community and another from black community. So D. Clark white कम्युनिटी की तरफ से वहां मौजूद थे. ही टुक प्लेस एज द सेकेंड डिप्टी, एंड द सेकेंड फ्रॉम द ब्लैक कम्युनिटी, थाबो मेवेकी, had taken oath as a first deputy president, who always became president of the South Africa after the death of the Nelson Mandela. And after these two persons, Nelson Mandela stood on the podium, and the world's one of the best orator, who had a very different kind of experiences throughout his life, was there. He addressed the whole community of the world. First of all, he conferred his gratitude to all politicians and dignitaries of the 140 countries, and then he placed to obey and uphold the Constitution of South Africa. And he gave his words to the world community that he would do everything for the well-being of the South African people. He also determined to liberate the South African people from the bondage of poverty, गरीबी के बंधन से निकालने का, from the deprivation and sufferings gender discrimination, and so on. So, first of all, I know it's a bit complicated lesson for you. It is my own experience of the students, but you have to divide this lesson into different stages. पहला स्टेज था कि वहाँ सेरेमनी स्वतंत्रता प्राप्ति करने का जो आयोजन हुआ वहाँ याद रखिए. फिर दूसरा पार्ट रखिए कि उन्होंने स्पीच क्या दिया, उन्होंने किस तरह से साउथ अफ्रीका के लोगों को गरीबी, डिप्राइवेशन, हंगर, जेंडर डिस्क्रिमिनेशन और रेशियल डिस्क्रिमिनेशन से पूरी तरह मुक्त किया. एंड ही ऑल्सो डिक्लेयर्ड इट एज ए पॉलिटिकल इमेनिसिपेशन ऑफ साउथ अफ्रीका. पॉलिटिकल इमेनिसिपेशन, राजनीतिक मुक्ति, क्योंकि उसके पहले तक साउथ अफ्रीका की राजनीति कुछ और ही थी. इस पार्ट को अलग रखिए. एंड देन जब वो ओथ ले लेते हैं तो ए फ्लीट ऑफ जेट प्लेन्स एंड हेलीकॉप्टर्स did their best pattern in the sky of the South Africa just over the amphitheater. This was not only a demonstration of the military power, but it was a kind of loyalty, wafadari, by the army to the new government. And after that, a fleet of Impala releasing smoke of different kind of colors of the South African flag was seen there. And then the top commanders of the military came to the Nelson Mandela and they saluted the black people. Here the Nelson Mandela wrote that he was not unmindful. He did not forget that there was a time when these commanders came to him to arrest him. But now they were saluting him, showing their loyalty to the new government. And after that, two national anthems were sung. One from the white people, another from the black people. यहाँ तक जो है सेरेमनी का प्रोग्राम चलता है. एंड आफ्टर दैट नेल्सन मंडेला reminded the situation of the South Africa in first decade of 20th century and the second situation of South Africa in the end of 20th century. He wrote that in the first decade of 20th century there was a Anglo-Boer war, the war between the blacks and the white. This war united the whole community of whites and they established their supremacy over the black people and they adopted a very harsh and strict system of political political system apartheid. Here, Nelson Mandela reminds the sufferings, the suppression, the people, the leader of the black community of South Africa had to bear. And he told us that their courage, their wisdom and their generosity, उन नेताओं का, जिन नेताओं का आपने देखा होगा, अपने लेसन में पिक्चर देखा होगा उन नेताओं का, आप देख सकते हैं ओलिवर टैम्बो का पिक्चर दिया गया, वॉल्टर सिस्लू, चीफ लुथिली, यूसुफ दादो, ब्रैम पीसन. Nelson Mandela claimed himself that he was a sum of the qualities of these big leaders. He was missing them. He thanked them. He saluted their sacrifices for this freedom, who sacrificed their lives. They endure every kind of miseries, sufferings put by the white government, but they did not leave their trap, the trap to the freedom of the South Africa. And after that, the third part of this lesson is about the personal life of Nelson Mandela as a child, as a youth and as a freedom fighter. इसको अलग रखिएगा पढ़ते समय. As a child, he writes that the meaning of freedom for him was to run in the fields freely, to go to the near to rivers, kept watching the flowing of its water, to ride on the ox, buffaloes in countryside. But when he became youth, his prospect of freedom, his meaning of freedom got changed. Now freedom for him was to move freely throughout the nights without any obstacles, to do what he wanted to do, and after that his dream, he was pursuing his dream as a youth to make a best career in his life, to marry a good girl and to establish best family. But when he came in the real life of South Africa, he hurt himself to see the real situations of South Africa. He admitted, उन्होंने माना इस लेसन में, he had no hunger of freedom in initial stage of his youth. He had no actual meaning of freedom. It was just confined to his personal life. लेकिन जब वास्तविकता से उनका नाता पड़ा तो उन्होंने बताया है कि every person has two obligations. One obligation to his family, to his children, to his parents, which he has to fulfill it. And the second obligation to his people, to his society, and to his country. And he admitted that in beginning he put his interest of family above the interest of his country and community. But later he transformed completely and determined to fight against this apartheid system put by the white people. And at last he had done it. There is a very crucial philosophy put by the Nelson Mandela in this lesson. Courage is not the absence of fear. साहस का मतलब ये नहीं है कि आप में डर नहीं है तो आप साहसी हैं, ऐसा तो हो ही नहीं सकता. So courage is not the absence of fear, but conquer over it. डर को जीत लेना ही साहस है. आप ये दावा नहीं कर सकते कि आप में डर नहीं है इसलिए आप साहसी नहीं. डर पर जीत प्राप्त कर लेना. He mentioned this quote about an incident while he was in prison. He and his friends had to suffer a number of inhuman suppressions made by the white government. And at a point, the Mandela admitted that now it became beyond the imagination, beyond the toleration. But when he saw in the eyes of a white guard in that prison that there was a glimpse of kindness in the eyes of that white guard, and decided to carry on his fighting. At last, in this lesson, he told us that freedom is not only necessary for the oppressed people, suppressed people, but also this freedom is needed for the oppressor. जो अत्याचार करता है उसको भी आजादी चाहिए क्योंकि वो भी आजाद नहीं है. उनके कहने का मतलब है कि ये व्हाइट लोग जो थे, जो लगातार अत्याचार कर रहे थे, इनको भी आजादी चाहिए थी. ये किस चीज के कैदी थे भाई? He mentioned in this lesson that these oppressors are the prisoner of hatred and violence. ये घृणा के कैदी थे. इनके मन से वो घृणा निकालनी थी ताकि ह्यूमैनिटी में इनका विश्वास बढ़ सके. और ये चीज जो है ये ऑपरेसर्स के लिए आजादी थी. इतने बड़े महान आदमी जिन्होंने दुनिया को एक नया रास्ता दिखाया कि किस तरह से बिना वायलेंट हुए भी आजादी और अपने लोगों के लिए स्वतंत्रता प्राप्त की जा सकती. थैंक यू. जो कुछ बच गया है थोड़ा सा जब हम क्वेश्चन आंसर का एक्सप्लेनेशन करेंगे तो आई थिंक आपके डाउट निकल जाएंगे. वैसे आप जो भी चाहें शेयर कर सकते हैं ग्रुप में। जो भी आपकी क्वेरीज होंगी, जो भी डाउट्स होंगे, मैं कोशिश करूंगा उन्हें पूरा करने की। थैंक यू।